I've always been sort of like a wanderer in terms of thinking, thinking ahead. For me, it's been important to visualize what's ahead. I remember when my father passed away, I was in the 6th grade, and we had a huge, to me at that time, the school looked huge. And I would walk around the track, we would have PE, and I would look at the gym. I remember when the 6th graders were graduating, that I looked and I said, one day I'm gonna be there, and then one day I'm gonna be at the big kids school, which was middle school. And I just would go back every 10, 15 years to that memory and thinking, how did, this 10-year-old or 11-year-old, how could I have thought about that so far ahead and actually gotten there? And I remember that using that piece of like forward thinking or just imaginative thinking, that anytime I've done that, I've actually been able to get to that objective. I imagined when I visited St. Mary's College in California, when I was there, I literally physically saw myself there 4 years later. And then I was there. I was there graduating from that school. And part of me saw myself living in New York at some point. I didn't know how or why. It was just something maybe I saw in a movie and I was like, it would be really cool, but I ended up there, and it wasn't to end up on a set or end up on Times Square. It was to just exist. When I finally got here, I think the realization came to me that, that's not the story, this isn't where you want to end, and I remember getting to Nyack and seeing the homes here and thinking, I'm 21 and there's a lot of things ahead of me, but one of them that I want is going to be a home and a family. And I'm there. 17 years later, I'm now have 3 children, and I think visualizing that objective helped me. It helped me from making, irrational decisions and taking crazy risks. I try to be very calculating and careful and deliberate, but a lot of things are out of my control. But one of the things that is not out of my control is my imagination. So I can imagine it and do it. Even now I built a workshop in my house, and one day I told my wife, I'm gonna build a table. And I didn't know how I was gonna build a table, but I built a really cool table and sold it at auction for a fundraiser, and people actually thought it was a nice table.
That's great.
But part of the belief that I have is also just kind of telling enough people what I intend to do. And then usually the way it works for me is that if they ask me about it, that becomes a spur for me to I need to do it.